Zahara clutches her bag tightly, panic written across her face as a flight attendant snatches her life-saving drug from her hands. She pleads desperately, her voice trembling, explaining it is critical for her survival. The attendant ignores her, cold and rigid, insisting it is against the rules, and tosses the vial into the trash. The cabin falls silent. Passengers stare in disbelief, some frozen, others unsure how to react. Zahara gasps for air, hands shaking uncontrollably. The attendant smirks, certain that no one will challenge her authority. What she does not realize is that Zahara's father sits just a few rows away, a man with power enough to halt the entire flight instantly. The tension hangs thick in the air. If you witness this, would you stay silent, or would you act? Zahara, bright and determined, sits quietly in her seat, her gentle eye scanning the cabin. She is returning home after years of studying abroad, exhausted but relieved to be almost. Her father sits a few rows behind, calm and commanding, a presence that draws quiet respect even without word. Her mother leans over, attentive and protective, helping Zahara adjust her seat and settle in. Passengers board steadily, placing luggage in overhead bins. Flight attendants move briskly down the aisles, checking tickets and giving instructions. Zahara opens a small, secure pouch, carefully placing her life-saving medication inside. She has a rare illness that requires strict doses at precise time. Her father reads quietly, a book in hand, eyes occasionally glancing up at the cabin, while her mother smooths her hair and adjusts her bag. Keeping the atmosphere calm and orderly, everything seems routine, ordinary, safe, but no one aboard the flight realizes who is seated among them or the power they quietly hold. The calm before the storm hangs over the cabin, a subtle tension waiting to be broken. The flight attendant notices Zahara's small pouch as she moves down the aisle and stops abruptly. She leans over, inspecting it closely, then accuses Zahara of carrying suspicious liquids. Zahara's heart races as she explains, her voice trembling, that it is life-saving medication. She shows the doctor's prescription, hoping the paperwork will convince her. The attendant laughs softly, mocking her, calling her dramatic, and completely ignores the documents in her hand. Without warning, she grabs the pouch and tosses the vial into the trash. Zahara gasps, panic flooding her chest, breath shallow and hands shaking violently. Her mother leans forward, pleading desperately for mercy, her voice breaking with emotion. Passengers murmur uneasily, some glancing away, unwilling to intervene. The attendant stands tall, smug, and unchallenged, her arrogance filling the aisle. The cabin is tense, the injustice heavy in the air. Zahara clutches her chest, trying to steady her trembling hands. The moment stretches, full of fear and disbelief. How far would you go to protect someone you love when no one else dares to act? Zahara's chest tightens and her breathing becomes shallow. She clutches herself, trying to stay calm, but panic flickers across her face. Her eyes dart toward the aisle, desperate for help that does not come. The flight attendant steps closer, voice sharp, cold, and unyielding. "This is my aircraft. My rules," she says, each word cutting through the cabin like ice. Zahara's mother leans forward, tears streaming down her cheeks, voice shaking with desperation. "Please, she needs this medication. You cannot do this. It is her." The attendant tilts her head, smirking, her arrogance growing, and threatens to remove them from the flight if they do not comply. She waves a dismissive hand toward the mother, signaling that no one will stand in her way. Zahara's father remains seated, calm and composed, his presence quiet but commanding. His steady gaze sweeps the cabin, unsettling any passenger who notices him, though most remain unaware of the authority he quietly exudes. The attendant calls over other staff members, instructing them to monitor the family, labeling them as troublemakers, her tone full of superiority. Passengers murmur in low, uneasy voices, divided between fear, outrage, and uncertainty. Some glance away, not wanting to get involved, while others fidget with their phones, capturing the moment in silent protest. Zahara's trembling intensifies. Her hands shake uncontrollably as she grips her chest, her breath coming in short, panic gasps. Her mother clutches her arm, whispering urgent words of comfort, but the fear in her own eyes betrays her calm. The cabin feels suffocating, tension thick and heavy, every second stretching painfully. The injustice burns slowly, a quiet, invisible fire that ignites every heart paying attention. Observant passengers sense that the moment is precarious, that the balance of power may soon shift. The flight attendant's smugness dominates the aisle, yet beneath her confidence, subtle cracks begin to show. Something is about to happen, a reckoning poised to break through the arrogance and fear. And nobody aboard the plane knows the force that is about to intervene. Zahara gasps for air, clutching her chest, her body trembling violently. Her mother screams, voice raw with fear and desperation. Somebody help her. She needs her medication now. The words echo down the aisle, stirring whispers and uneasy glances among the passengers. A few brave souls rise from their seats, stepping forward and pleading with the attendant. Please, return her medicine. She cannot breathe properly. The attendant snaps sharply, pointing a finger at them. Sit down immediately or face serious consequences, she warns. Her voice cold and commanding. She radios the cockpit, describing the family as aggressive and disruptive, framing them as the problem. The cabin feels heavier, tension crackling in the air as fear mixes with outrage. Slowly, Zahara's father rises from his seat, his movements deliberate and controlled. He towers over the situation, calm authority radiating from every inch of his posture. His voice is steady, sharp, and commanding. Do you understand what you have just done? He asks, each word carrying weight that fills the cabin. The attendant smirks at first, dismissing him as just another angry passenger, a challenge she believes she can easily contain. But the air begins to shift subtly. Passengers notice the change, the quiet power in his presence. A hush falls over murmuring voices. Eyes widen, some holding phones ready, capturing the unfolding moment. The arrogance of the attendant begins to falter under the weight of his calm authority. Each passing second stretches, tension escalating like a storm about to break. The audience feels it too, the sense that the confrontation is no longer hypothetical. Something decisive is about to happen. The family is no longer alone, the balance of power tilting, and the cabin, once tense but contained, braces for an outcome that nobody could have predicted. Every passenger now senses the imminent reckoning, hearts pounding in anticipation. Zahara's father reaches into his jacket and slowly pulls out a badge and credentials, placing them on the armrest for everyone to see. A hush falls over the cabin as the weight of his authority becomes clear. He is a high-ranking aviation security official, traveling discreetly, his presence alone commanding attention. The flight attendant's confident smirk falters, her eyes widening as the reality sinks in. Nearby staff freeze, their expressions shifting from curiosity to shock, understanding the gravity of the situation. He stands tall, calm and unwavering, voice low but firm. I need the captain here immediately, he says, each word carrying authority that cannot be ignored. Passengers whisper among themselves, some holding their phones up, capturing the moment, their disbelief mixed with awe. The cabin, once dominated by the attendant's arrogance, shifts. The power balance flips instantly. Fear creeps into the attendant's posture, her once confident stance wavers. She glances at the other staff, searching for backup, but they are paralyzed, unsure how to act. The air feels electric, charged with anticipation. Every passenger senses the shift, the tension thickening as the authority of Zahara's father overtakes the previous chaos. His calm, deliberate movements and unwavering gaze leave no doubt. The situation is now under his control. The attendant, once untouchable in her arrogance, now stands vulnerable, caught between rules she thought she could enforce and the undeniable power of someone who can stop the entire flight. Every second stretches, the cabin holding its collective breath, waiting for the inevitable reckoning that is about to unfold. The story hangs on the edge of confrontation, the audience gripped, knowing the moment of justice is imminent. The captain immediately halts all takeoff preparations, his movements precise and unquestioning, following the command of Zahara's father. The cabin falls into a tense, heavy silence. Airline security moves quickly and efficiently, activating full protocol under his direction. Every motion is deliberate, controlled, sending a clear message that the situation is no longer under anyone else's control. The flight attendant is escorted down the aisle, her face pale, confidence replaced by fear, the arrogance that once dominated her now completely shattered. Passengers watch in stunned awe as the scene unfolds, some whispering, others holding their phones, capturing the moment of reckoning. Her career is effectively destroyed. She understands in a cold flash that no excuses, no rule she twisted can save her now. The cabin erupts in quiet cheers and applause, expressions of relief and vindication spreading from row to row. Zahara's mother holds her tightly, brushing tears from her daughter's face as she stabilizes, gasping slightly but finally able to breathe with relief. The life-saving medication is carefully returned, placed into Zahara's hands as though it had never been taken, restoring both safety and dignity. Her father stands tall, calm, and commanding. Every passenger feels the weight of his presence. His voice cuts through the tension, steady and chilling. Abuse of power always ends the same way. Collapsed under the weight of truth. Heads turn, eyes widen, and the cabin collectively absorbs the truth in his words. Passengers murmur in agreement, some nodding silently, others exchanging glances of disbelief and respect. The injustice that had filled the air moments before is replaced with awe, relief, and satisfaction. Every movement, every glance, reinforces that justice has prevailed. The emotional impact is profound. Fear gives way to admiration. Tension dissolves into a lesson in authority and morality. Zahara breathes more steadily, her mother's hands firm and comforting on her shoulders, her father exuding unwavering protection and power. The flight resumes cautiously, but the memory of what unfolded lingers with every passenger. The lesson is undeniable. Arrogance and abuse cannot withstand truth, courage, and integrity. Authority used for protection triumphs over cruelty. The cabin carries the lingering weight of justice, and every passenger, silently or aloud, feels the satisfaction of witnessing the triumph of right over wrong. The cabin slowly settles as calm is restored. The flight resumes under watchful eyes, passengers now attentive not to the routine of travel, but to the weight of what they have just witnessed. Zahara rests in her seat, finally able to breathe freely, her body still trembling slightly from the ordeal. Her mother holds one hand firmly, brushing back strands of hair from her forehead, while her father grips the other, steady and reassuring. Every glance between them is filled with relief, silent communication that the danger is past and dignity has been reclaimed. Around them, passengers reflect quietly, some still wide-eyed, others shaking their heads in disbelief. They think about the arrogance that masqueraded as authority, the cruelty that passed as rules, and how easily humanity can be disregarded if no one stands against it. The lesson becomes clear. Dignity lives, and the value of human beings must never be discarded or treated as expendable. Conversation hums quietly in hushed tones, passengers sharing their thoughts, questioning what they would have done if they were in the same position. The presence of Zahara's father reminds them of the real meaning of authority, not control for power, but protection for life. He stands as a silent sentinel, calm but unyielding, his eyes scanning the cabin to ensure that respect, safety, and humanity are restored.